According to plan, we at least know, we can see, and we can usually control what goes on there, right? I'm here alluding to our internet connections in our homes, coming from the ISP core down to our home gateways, our modems in our homes, right? This is where things are pretty civilized today. It wasn't always so, but today, it's pretty tame. Inside the home, once you cross the threshold of that modem, there's darkness, right? We sometimes know what's going on there. We sometimes know that we've been bitten, but we rarely know what bit us in there. And this has not changed as much in the last few years. In 2017, when we first launched our company, I was talking about how we can't see inside the home, right? There was no visibility whatsoever. We could see down to the modem, we couldn't see inside. In 2019, we had finished building and rolling out data collection systems that allowed us to stream per minute very granular information from each home via the ISP networks so that we could actually get that kind of visibility. Now, if these plots don't immediately jump out to you with conclusions, right? If they don't mean much to you, you could rest assured that they don't mean much to people answering your phones when you call too, right? So today, I'm here to say that we now have too much data. Because everybody now understood the fact that we need data, so people are collecting data, but they're just sort of dumping it all over the place. Everybody's inundated with data, and we can't make head or tail of it. We have essentially lost sight of the forest for the trees. There's just too much noise. This is one of two, oddly enough, FTTH connections in my home. ISPs have literally spent millions of dollars bringing in gigabit internet to my home and probably to yours as well. But this gets lost in those last few yards from the gateway to where we actually use it, right? Our mobile clients. So I have a gigabit up to there, much less on my phone. And I am also here to tell you that you are not alone in this if you share my experience, right? Most homes are bottlenecked by their in-home connection. You get gigabit, the majority of the journey has been done. You have high-speed internet in the home, but not where you can actually use it. It's just sitting there like a brick. And for want of that last hop, right, this entire network is lost. Millions of dollars lie idle around. Collecting data from across Europe, I can tell you that the majority of homes do not get their broadband speeds actually utilized by their agents. Now, the failure can be anywhere, right? You can get it right down by that cable where you can't provision or stabilize the gateway. Once you've deployed the gateway and other consumer premises equipment, right? Range extenders, repeaters, mesh points, you need to configure and place them correctly. Most people fail in this as well. Once you have the CPEs decked out, then you have to deal with clients. A typical home has somewhere between 10 to 15 clients today, and that rises by roughly a client a year. Probably more in the coming years as IoT awakens. The configuration of these clients is always tricky and not up to the ISP, right? You, as an internet service provider, you are selling a service, but have very little control over how it is consumed by the actual end devices. And this is very foreign to ISPs because they're very used to controlling the entire sort of end-to-end network. The capability of these clients is highly varied as well. It's a motley bunch out there, right? Some of them are 10-year-old and absolutely crap in terms of capability. Some of them are wonderful. Once you have the clients understood, then you're talking about the neighbors, right? Neighbors, you typically in a city, you have 10 to 20 neighbors that are interfering with you. And you have no control over them as well. So a lot actually needs to happen well before you get good service. And this rarely happens by itself, of course. What we do is we, with the help of our friends at the ISP, insert a light telemetry agent into all the consumer premises equipment running in the field. So we're collecting data from everything. We're collecting very granular data. Every minute, we're getting the signal strengths of all the clients, the physical rates, the packet access patterns, exchanges, noise floors, fullness of the Wi-Fi. DHCP tables, temperatures, CPU loading, essentially anything we need to create a very granular, pristine picture of that network every minute for every home. This data flows out to our cloud, where we, and I cannot stress this enough, analyze everything every day. So we can tell our friends at the ISP what is wrong in each home. Everybody at an ISP speaks different languages. The guys answering the phones need to be told, this is the problem and this is how you fix it. They're not interested in like the big story or the big picture or whatever, right? They want to see, this is what I need to do to get this guy to be happy. Engineering has a very different approach. Technicians have a different approach. Outbound sales, management, they all want to look at different things about the whole thing, right? So we have different interfaces for everyone. And a lot of this data is actually pushed directly into the ISP CRM, so we don't expect people to come look at our interfaces. We tell everybody who needs to know what they need to know. And the key point here is that we don't offer a tool, we actually offer a service. So there is an entire team on our side whose only job it is to make sure that people are using the right best practices with the data that we provide. So if I just light a traffic light here, you know, some people will notice, some people won't. So I need end-to-end to be looking at what the end customer, the consumer, is seeing and making sure that the best practices we have generated are actually reaching them. To give a little bit of history, right? We were founded in 2017, we launched in Norway, and we started growing with smaller ISPs there. In 2018, we picked up some recognition from Slush and Elisa, and started signing larger customers with our proactive care. In 2019, we started growing further. We got recognition from Cable Labs and, thank you, Broadband World Forum, and started signing customers in the Netherlands as well, and started seeing some real big numbers, like had millions of devices actually sending us data. And then, in 2020, we started growing with tier ones. We started signing customers who had millions of subscribers, and found, to our delight, that the guys back in Norway with 10,000 subscribers had literally the same problems as the guys with millions of subscribers, right? It's because it's the same users trying to do the same stuff. It doesn't matter who you're buying the internet from, it matters that you're trying to watch Netflix. For the past 2 years, we have been growing over 4x each year over year. Today we're deployed in 5 countries across Europe, and as I mentioned, we have customers from small to big. And I would like to share with you why I think we are successful in doing so, why I think we can grow 4x every year. I will sum it up in 3 bullets, and I'd like to be really open with this stuff. If you see others moving in this direction, you know where you heard it first. If you don't see others moving in this direction, that's okay too. We are comprehensive, proactive, and collaborative. By comprehensive, I mean we work on everything. This is not a shiny new toy for new modems that you roll out. We invested hugely in making our script lightweight. We're not crazy, right? We're using some very hard technology to deploy this, and it's limiting our scope significantly. But we made that call because we want this to not be integrated into firmware on the modems. That is a pain. I spent a lifetime building modems. It is very difficult to integrate into them. So we can include legacies. We target, when we roll out, 80% of the population actually covered within the first year. We have, for now, finally, we have mature APIs that we design end to end, so that we don't just create some data and like toss it around, say, here's some data. We actually care about the call center and how they apply this in an application. We care about the self-care, the users who are actually seeing our analytics, the home users, right? So our APIs are meant to reflect that and make it really easy to implement. And we have a team, this is their only job, right? To make sure that this thing is easy to roll out and that it is actually rolled out. I'll give an example from last year. In October, we signed a major customer. In November, we kicked off the project. Over Christmas, we started rolling out so that by January, we had 250,000 of their homes online, which happened to be the majority of the install base. By February, we had the entire thing integrated into the CRM so that it was in production, live, with applications on the customer center. That's 4 months, including Christmas break, that we did for a tier 1. And this is only getting better. When I say proactive, I mean we actually fix stuff before people start screaming. This is important because by the time they start screaming, you really run out of options and they're really not too happy with you. So what we do is we actually analyze all the data coming in from the field. These all build on each other. Because we're comprehensive, we're seeing stuff that's really old as well. When you roll out new boxes, when you roll out new modems, they're already your best foot forward. You know, those guys don't have as many problems. You're really interested in who in the old guard actually has the problems. So a good example from last year is we rolled out in one of our customers, we actually said, okay, a typical ISP will roll out about 20% of their install base and devices every year. And the way they usually handle this is they'll give modems to people who scream, who they think are going to churn, or whose modems are like so godforsakenly old that they can't even get the service, right? What we said is, maybe these aren't the right people. Maybe the people who are screaming aren't necessarily the ones that need new modems. Maybe they need something else. So we identified some few thousand users, right? That corresponded to a few percent of the install base. That we said, okay, these guys have outgrown their modems. They need new modems. That's specifically what they need. And our friends at the ISP were nice enough to actually run questionnaires and quantify user satisfaction before and after a modem swap. And we were able to show that they brought this from an average of 4.5 users that really don't like your service to 7.5, which is pretty good for people who are buying internet. And last but not least, right, we're collaborative. The collaboration is that we don't provide a tool. We see this very, very often in technology, right? And we saw this, we didn't know this starting out, but we figured this out along the way. We said, okay, here's a tool, but when we first launched in 2017, we looked at our competition and we went around to ISPs that had bought our competition and saw that they had on their roadmap to actually install the tool that year. When we went by the next year, they hadn't even installed it. As a startup, we can't afford this, right? We need references, we need glowing references in a few months after we roll out. So a big part of our effort goes into forming these best practices. I would like to position my company as the McKinsey of this space, right? We are in the trenches. We are doing the frontline fighting against the problems. We see each problem once. But that best practice that we form, we start small, we create a best practice to address it. That best practice is portable, because even though in other countries and other networks, the network is different, the modems are different, the users are the same, the use cases are the same. So we can actually create this war chest, this quiver of best practices that are very portable from ISP to ISP. And that is indeed what we do. When we engage a new ISP, we say, these are your problems, this is how we suggest you prioritize it, and this is how you will fix it. And we'll start small and go big with each fix. And we now have this quiver that we really like. A good example is that one of the customers we rolled out last year, they, after rolling out Lifemote, reported 70% increase in first call problem resolution, which corresponded to about the same number in a reduction in field tech visits, 70%. That is because when somebody calls an ISP, if they can't fix it on the phone, they're either gonna swap the modem or send a field tech. What are they gonna do? Just hang up? No, right? So if they have more arrows in their quiver to actually fix the problem, proactively, or if it comes to that, reactively, then this gets fixed, right? No more field techs, no more stupid modem replacements. Now, I mentioned that I'm gonna talk about three things, but there's of course a fourth sort of hidden variable here, and that is that nobody does this alone, right? I do not believe we live in a space where the market will reward somebody who will greedily go after the whole market by themselves. So we stand on the shoulders of giants, right? We're really blessed to have had very good partners throughout our entire lifetime. From day one, we had our friends from iNetworks that were supporting us in in Norway. A couple of years ago, we were really happy to meet Matchmaker Ventures right here, actually at this stage, and have had a great partnership since then. And Zyxel has been with us throughout the whole journey as a device vendor, and hopefully, later this year we're going to have even more names up here. because I believe that this is a collective effort. Other people have come up on this stage and talked about the same thing, and I would like to echo their sentiment. This is something that we will do together. Thank you.
Fantastic. I think there was a power and energy infusion which we needed before lunch, no? So that we can that's really well done. Any immediate question? I know yes, I'm a little bit biased because our name was up there on that one. I can just confirm and subscribe. I not only like the product, love the product, but I love the energy of the team. Really, I think that really sticks out, and you could see it. Question here, question from the audience. Yes, all right, good.
I'm also a bit biased, but I'm still. I would just like. I know the answer to the question, but I would like the audience to know it. What makes you unique compared to other vendors who are also here and who might consider themselves your competition?
Essentially, these three. Oh, can I go back? No, I can't. The three verticals about being collaborative, comprehensive, and proactive are part of a cultural mindset, right? We can do, for example, proactivity because we have the technology for it, but that allows us to be collaborative because we can actually have people looking at analytics and working with the customer, being enabled by tools that we have developed in-house. So we can actually have engineers who work directly with the customer, who are sitting down with them every week. And these are the people who bring back the problems into our main analytics. So once you tackle a problem in the field with like domain experts, and then it becomes part of your core analytics, then this is the virtuous cycle that leads to a better product and a better service, right? And I think that's what differentiates us. That we literally meet every single one of our customers every week.
Fantastic, all right, good. Eren, thank you very much. I think not only a big round of applause to Eren, we combine, right? It's a joint effort, so a big round of applause to all of us, to all of the startups who pitched here. We will take a couple of minutes. Actually, I stood up now after quite a while. It's really good to stand up, so you can stand up for 2-3 minutes. We will briefly discuss, of course, we have our notes, and then we will announce the winners. Big round of applause to you and to all of us.